let's use your awesome tool to build your people and processes so that you can grow and scale and function as a really awesome agency.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the High Level Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Todd Westra, who is the founder and CEO of Moku, which is a virtual assistant agency that provides people, processes, and tools to operate through growth phases. Todd, thanks for coming on.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Chase.
Todd, before we get into like the services and whatnot, how'd you get into this? How did you get into creating this resource that you now share with agencies or consultants,
Awesome.
or I'm sure lots of people?
No, I hear you. Well, no, I have been a startup founder all of my adult life. Like honestly, I've never had a job, and to my
that's pretty sweet.
Maybe nobody really
Congrats to you.
Thank you. Thank you. And so literally my whole life I've spent doing things that I like to do. I had a company in the golf business, which I love to golf. I had a company in the audio video space because heck, who doesn't like really cool speakers and theater rooms and all that kind of stuff, right? And then I wanted to do something that was more scalable. And that's where I kind of fell into this place that I am right now. And this was back in about 2006, 2007. I had a business in the audio video space, and we found ourselves doing architectural drafting for big architectural firms to design all the low voltage systems, because there's no code that requires like, hey, have a security camera here and have key access here and all these kind of systems. And so because it wasn't a code thing, architects never plotted for it. And so we started doing architectural drafting, and I ran into an architect that said to me, well, I've got 40 architects in the Philippines that do all of my drafting work. And I just kind of have this little office here, and I'm able to produce mass output. And I said, you got to be kidding me. This is 2006. And I thought, who in the crap is outsourcing professional services? Like I had heard about sweatshops doing production and like building widgets and all that kind of stuff. And so I was kind of freaked out, and I said, dude, I got to try this. And he's like, sure. He's like, send me over whatever you need drafted. And so I sent him over my next wiring schematic. And by morning, I had this amazing wiring schematic, and they did a 3D render of the boardroom that we were doing the design for. And I was like, shut up. Like, how much does that cost me? Right. And it was so cheap. I was like, sign me up. I'm your newest client, and I'm going to be your best client. And so we went out to my client, and we sold the deal. And I was like, dude, that was like so easy, so painless. And so from that point on, I got really turned on by this whole thought process of outsourcing stuff that was labor intensive on my side. And I didn't have enough drafting to employ a full-time CAD drawer all the time for the few times a month I needed my wiring schematics done. And so that was a hard sell on my side to take on that overhead. So we go another year, and 2008 was when all the crap hit the fan the last time in our economy. And so this particular architect lost all of his big development clients, and literally said, Todd, if you wanted to buy my company, because I told him several times I did, he said, if you want to buy my company, now's the time. Just cover my payroll and you got it, buddy. And I'm like, serious? So boom, we bought a company for the cost of like 2 months of payroll. And I'm in the Philippines, and I discovered that I had entrepreneurial ADD because I had labor now that I could use to do just about anything I wanted. And so before I'd even gotten home from the Philippines, and I only went over there for 3 weeks, before I got home from meeting all my new employees and seeing my new office and all these things I just bought, I had a buddy back home say, hey, I've got this lead gen campaign. I could use some help with some offshore agents to do my lead gen calls. And I said, serious? I'm like, well, I've never had a dialer. I've never done call center. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Just get them hired. So I literally hired 15 people before I left and said, you start in 3 weeks. And then I came home and I was like, okay. So we started a call center on a whim and ended up building about a 70-seat call center by the end of the year and sold that company off to the client. And I was like, boom, this is
there we go.
Awesome. Yeah. And so I kind of had this new thing where I just wanted to build and scale and grow. And so I sold out of my audio video company, which I absolutely loved. It's still in business today. They're thriving. They're doing great. But I sold out of that in about 2009 and full on went over and started a brand new center in the Philippines, did it the way that I wanted to, built a custom dialer, built all sorts of platforms, hired some good developers, had a really, really cool operation. And at that point, I recognized that small businesses like I was, need help. Small businesses need help. And we have issues overwhelming ourselves because we're either bad at hiring or we're bad at identifying what roles we need to be filled. And we just wear all the roles as a small business owner. And I think the majority of the high-level agencies out there have the same problems that I did. And that was, I don't even know how to explain to someone to do what I do in my agency every day. So I'm just going to take on all the work myself and maybe have a few people helping me with odds and ends. Right?
Yeah, that was the one question one of the points I wanted to cover was, how do I train a VA to help if I don't even know what needs to be done?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that's where the huge disconnect is between, CEOs and effective scaling businesses, right? Like small business founders are all the same in that we want to build something cool. We want to own it. We want to run it. We want to feel like we're in touch with in tune with our clients. And that's what we all love about being entrepreneurs. But here's where we all are stupid most of the time. And I say this inclusively because I'm the same way. We have a hard time letting go of certain responsibilities because we feel like we're really good at that thing and nobody else can do it as good as we can. And honestly, oftentimes that's true. But sometimes you end up finding out that there's a lot of people that can do things a lot better than you. And you hit yourself on the head and say, why didn't I do this earlier? And that is what having a virtual assistant or a virtual team can do for you and your business. And so
I'd even argue the flip side is true. Even if they can't do it as good or better, you quickly find out that 80% is good. Fine. You're like, okay, well, it wasn't as good as I would have done it. Like mine would have looked a little better or whatever, but you're like, right. But I got to leave work yesterday at 2:00. I mean, that's I'm up for that trade-off all day long.
Dude, that's exactly the point. That's exactly the point. When I built my center, I ended up scaling fairly large. I had a few hundred employees on multiple islands. And then I had about a 50-person US center here in Utah. And it was overflow, QA, all sorts of things. I had a pretty big operation. And it was really fun. I was in the direct marketing space. We had one campaign go from 0 to $100 million in 6 months through email and Facebook marketing campaigns. And it was just, we killed it. I mean, we just learned how to scale. We learned how to grow. And that is when I really started to understand, Chase, that that me as a small business founder had to learn how to be a corporate leader, right? And they're two very different things, because I couldn't be on the floor with my people. I couldn't be behind the scenes with them coding. I couldn't be on the dialer with them giving QA. I had to be managing lots of different moving parts. And so I learned really quickly that identifying what roles I needed to have help in made life so much easier. And I read a book called The E-Myth in college that is kind of like the Bible of what I live by in my business. And that is, the entrepreneurial myth is that because I like making pies, I'm going to be the best pie making company in the world, right? That is not true. The person that can delegate and teach people how to build pies with the same enthusiasm, same passion you have, makes you the best pie making company in the world. So to the drawing board I went. When we went from 0 to $100 million in 6 months, I had to really learn, okay, I can't be listening to calls. I can't be doing this. So what is the perfect QA going to do for me? What is the perfect this going to do for me? What is the perfect front, tier 1 agent going to do? And where do I draw the line of escalating them to a tier 2 agent and then to a tier 3 agent? Like every scenario I had to think through. And this is what most small businesses fail to do. They don't take a step back and look at their business and say, oh, I'm doing it different every time. Every time I do that one thing, I think it's like a different thing. And so I do a custom response every time. Well, why am I doing that? When I could just have fixed responses.
Well, it is tough when you're engulfed in the work. It's hard to find the time to step out of it and be like, I need to build systems, because when you do that, obviously you can scale much faster. But if you're just constantly in the work, it's hard. So it sounds like,
right.
And you see this all across your website with this messaging of like, let us help you get out of your own way.
Yes.
Right. Like, we've been down the path before. It's a common path. Like there's a blueprint for this. And so is that sort of, it's a much different scenario than just, I need a VA. It's more like saying, hey, I want to change it up, the whole thing. Show me how. How do I delegate? How do I scale? Right.
Right.
Without having to hire internally in the US.
100%. Because if you can avoid that, you're all the better off. And so here's how I got involved with HighLevel, and here's why. I decided, I'd been in call center space for over a decade and learned how to build systems, learn how to build these processes and delegate and do all those things that we just talked about. I took a breather from it. I exited that company in the beginning of 2019 and started doing full-time consulting with Google. And I was thinking that was the safest place I could bet my head, to invest my time. And it was awesome. Like, it was super cool. I was training all these directors, doing these team building things, just having a blast, teaching leaders how to manage their teams better. And then COVID hits, and I'm thinking, okay, there went my dream entrepreneurial job of just having this awesome little company, and it's gone. And so I started a podcast, and I needed a platform that hosted courses. I needed a platform that was CRM. I needed a platform that did my email campaigns. I needed a platform that would manage my Calendly. Everything the HighLevel does. I think I replaced 7 or 8 tools I was paying for with one tool. And somebody introduced me to HighLevel, and I was like, holy freaking crap, this is the best thing I've ever discovered, right? And so I immediately contacted one of my old employees, one of my managers in the Philippines. I said, hey, I've got this podcast I'm starting. And in the first week of doing outreach on my podcast, I interviewed over 20 CEOs and founders. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I said, I can't keep up with all the production. I've got this platform that does all my calendaring. I've got this platform that does all my email follow-ups, SMS reminders, like all these things. And she's like, amazing. Boom. Next thing you know, I had a team going. I had a video editor. I had an audio guy. I had a back-end coder. And then I started growing. And then I was like, man, I literally, Chase, I interviewed over 250 CEOs in about 12 weeks.
Nice.
Like 250 interviews just like this in that sort of time. And it freaked me out in one way because I had so much work to do to edit and get them out the door. But the cool thing is that I was meeting all these CEOs and founders, and I would ask them 4 things. Who are you? What do you do? What's your favorite thing about growing and scaling your business? What's your biggest challenge? And what's your advice? And these 4 questions led me down this path of amazing feedback. And this is the feedback I'm going to share with the audience today. Every single CEO and founder had the same response to their biggest challenge. And it almost always tied back to people. It was always a people problem. Their biggest challenge in growth was people. They either didn't know how to manage their people correctly. They didn't know how to keep them channeled on the same wavelength. They didn't know how to put the right people in the right places. They would have the right people doing the wrong things or the wrong people in the right places. And people are
Mm-hmm.
always the problem for small businesses and big
Mm-hmm.
businesses for that matter. And so I went on a mission as I was doing this podcast to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to make sure that my people are all aligned with the same vision, that we're fulfilling, we're getting people moving in the right direction. And most of all, Chase, I love, love, love seeing small businesses grow and scale. Like it gets
For
me so
sure.
excited,
Yeah. Me
right?
too.
And you guys have what, 8,000 or 9,000 agency partners on board right now, all fitting the mold of I'm so excited to grow, but I'm doing everything myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the thought occurred to me, a couple thoughts occurred to me, but one was I want to service people like me that are struggling with maybe their first or second business and trying to grow and scale, trying to set up their processes, trying to set up their systems. And here we have this magic platform in HighLevel that literally allows us to go in and build out whatever automations we want to do all the systems and processes that I talk to everybody about. So I talk about people, I talk about processes, and I talk about tools nonstop. That's all I talk about. If you hear me on Clubhouse, that's all I talk about is people, processes, and tools. Because I learned from 250 CEOs and founders that their biggest problem was people, processes, and tools.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're listening to this on the Go HighLevel community, chances are you are one of those founders who has issues with building the right people, the right processes to plug them into. You've got the tool though. So let's use your awesome tool to build your people and processes so that you can grow and scale and function as a really awesome agency, right?
And with most conversations that we have on the show, it can be applied through two different lenses, right? So the first is your own agency, right? Filling gaps, helping you prospect, whether it's prospect, helping you close deals, helping you fulfill, all of that stuff can be done through VAs, as well as what I love is establishing yourself as the leader in your niche, right? And now we're talking about community building. So you mentioned podcasting. There's a lot that goes into running a podcast, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of editing, a lot of schedule keeping, all that kind of stuff. Beyond that, I think we're heading into this 2.0 of podcasting, which is really around community, right? It's more than just your podcast. It's your clubhouses. It's, where does your community live? Facebook Lives, all that kind of stuff. There's so much work that goes into that. But the people who get that machine in motion are the ones who start to dominate an industry, right? Because they become the authority. Oh, I've seen that guy. I saw that guy last week, and now I see him over here. Like he must be the guy. Okay.
Totally.
So the second lens is for your clients, right? Yeah. And so this leads us into Eliza. So Todd, Moku, they are Eliza partners, which means that they can handle the chats of your clients' businesses through HighLevel, right? And so this is on that level, you can scale for your clients, which obviously reflects great on you. You can charge more for that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. We were chatting before about med spas. I did a ton of med spa marketing in my day.
Yeah.
And you've got a great med spa program going through Eliza and Moku right now.
Right.
Tell me about it. What does it look like? How's it work?
You know, it's really awesome. It's really awesome because, with Eliza, as people will start to see and learn about what Eliza really is, all it is, it's a mechanism for when you've got a client looking up your med spa client's page and they text message or they respond back to an automation that you sent out. For example, on all of my calendar scheduling, I send out a little email and a text message telling people, hey, when this is our appointed time, if there's anything specific you want to talk about, text me back and let me know, right? Or send me an email back. Well, if that email comes back and you get on the call and you haven't looked at what they sent you, how good do you think that call is going to go?
Right.
right? They took the time to send you back, hey, I want to talk about XYZ. And you get on the call and you're like, hey, so what do you think we should talk about? It's like, it's horrible. And so what Eliza does is it allows us to communicate immediately back to a client who connects with us on any type of communication. Right now, the way Eliza is being built is that it will soon be able to handle all conversations coming in, whether it's from the web chat, whether that's from SMS, whether it's from an email, Google My Business. All those platforms are going to be part of the inbound in every location. So what Eliza allows us to do is, as an agency partner, again, we are not an agency replacement service, which I want to make very, very clear. We do not talk to your location owners without you on the call or without you guiding what's happening here. So don't fear about the evil Eliza partners stealing your clients. We're not out there to do that. We are out there to help our agency partners in a way that you can now offer immediate response. We're finding that our response time is within 2 minutes or so. Nice. On every chat or anything inbound that comes in, we are responding back to someone within a couple minutes. How do we know what to say? Well, we know what to say because we do a lot of extensive training with all of our agency partners. You mentioned the med spa. We have a client right now who has a healthy book of med spa clients on his agency. And so the answers, a lot of them are very similar. They're across across all the med spas. Right. How many ways can you burn fat, right?
You freeze it. And there's like a handful of companies that make the machines that do the freezing. And it's all the same questions and it's all the same answers.
Right. So we have a team now dedicated to the cryo spas. And if you want to freeze the fat off, guess what? We know how to respond now with people that can either answer through the FAQs, which are templated responses, or they actually know enough now about the product and the process to be able to ad lib a little bit and make it sound like they're talking to someone at the spa, not just someone or an AI that gets confused by the question and all that kind of stuff. And so the thing that I remind people about Eliza is the AI part is friggin' awesome. When it starts to work the way that it will, the way we all expect it to, we are all going to be using AI. There's just no doubt about it.
Sure.
But I remind people, Chase, when you are a Google G Suite account and you go to Google for customer service because something isn't working in your G Suite, you get 3 chances for them to answer the question right. After the 3rd try, you know what Google does? They send it to a live person.
Yeah. So no, I mean, it's great for like the best case scenario, but the majority are not. And so you need human rollover. And we were talking earlier about, I think when we bake in the time to response metric into the user reporting and all that kind of stuff, it'll help people sort of grasp the importance of this and to sell it. And so I'm curious to know if you work with agency partners on sales, because in my mind, if you're an agency and you have med spa clients, you need to go to them and be like, well, look, this isn't rocket science-y. Your front desk people are not getting back fast enough. Let us do it for you. And you will grow and we will be able to charge you more and you will happily pay it because you will be growing because we will be on the leads within 2 minutes. Like you're saying.
How many clients do you have to lose before you realize that it takes one win? In most cases, one win a month and you've paid for our services. Right?
It's like, I've seen it so many times where a message comes in and it'll be like, is this Main Street Cool Sculpting? And then like the next day someone replies back like, no, we're South Street Cool Sculpting. They're 3 blocks over. It's like, they do cool sculpting. Sell it to them. Dude. So it's like, just take it out of their hands.
Any plumber, any dentist, any salon owner. I mean, a family cleaning at a dentist office, if somebody had just responded before they went to the 10 other dentist office that they were reaching out to that day, that one client would have paid for your Eliza unlimited plan with one of us. You know what I mean? And so it just is foolishness not to enroll your locations into Eliza, because it saves your clients so much stinking money, so
Mhm.
much money. So
Yeah, if you're watching this, I mean, and you're niche specific, which is always a great
right,
scenario to be in. I
right,
think you really need to start thinking about enlisting a service like Moku, who's already plugged into HighLevel through Eliza, which just makes it all work more seamlessly than traditionally was possible in the past. But you got to
right,
start thinking about this and talk to Todd about the pricing so that you can come up with, your margin included and your plan to
right,
sell it, because it's not just a way to make more revenue. It is going to help your clients grow. And
right.
when they grow, you grow, right? And so I think it's just a no-brainer.
There is nothing worse, Chase, than spending days and days trying to train and learn what that location needs to service them the best, and then have them disappear after a month or two. Like, that's painful. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But
100%.
you save them one sale, and now they're like, I don't know how I lived without these guys. This is the best agency ever. Like, this is, no matter how well they're doing for me on my Google ad spend or my Facebook marketing, they just saved me a sale, and that was awesome.
I can honestly say I could probably only recall a handful of agencies that I've ever worked with, or sorry, businesses, where I would go in and look at how they were handling the leads and be like, wow, someone on their team is awesome. Like they're nailing it. It was literally like maybe 1%, less than 1% of all the companies
No
we ever
doubt.
worked with. They
No
all need
doubt.
help. They are not trained to be salespeople, right? They're plumbers, or they are front desk people who are walking the dog and taking out the trash and doing all these other things. They need the help. So I'm so excited about Eliza and you
Right.
guys, because it is going to be the difference maker for a lot of our customers that are agencies to differentiate themselves from the competition. It's like, we don't just generate the leads and automate a good percentage of them onto your calendar. We
Yep.
close them for you too.
Yep. No, seriously, close them and resolve customer service issues. I mean, dude,
Mm.
Chase, I mean, if you're a plumber and you just install this new kitchen for somebody and now you're on to the next job the next day and you're super busy with this client, and then the client from the day before says, dude, my faucet's leaking. And then 10 minutes
Mm.
later, like, no, my faucet is like flooding. And then 30 minutes later, like, my whole basement is toast because you didn't catch my text message or my call, right? I mean, that's how bad it could be.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean,
We're
it's
saving
absolutely
lives.
critical.
Eliza is saving
Honestly,
lives.
I think you're right. Maybe that should be the new slogan. We're out here saving lives.
We're just saving lives, people.
No, it's an absolute no-brainer. And if you don't believe me, I mean, don't take my word for it. Audit your customers, go into their conversations pane and just read
Right.
through and look at the timing. And I think that's the piece that we need to provide, and we will. I don't know the ETA on this, but the time to response metric, right? Like, look at how long
Right.
it's taking your customers to get back to people. And you'll find that it's definitely on average more than 5 minutes. And so, Sean
Yes.
always references there was a famous MIT study where they went out and looked at leads in general and tried to figure out
Right.
like what makes a lead close versus not. And the number one
Right.
thing is just you have a 5 minute window, right? And
Right.
so go dig that up, show it to your clients, tell them that you can now solve that for them, and just reach out to Todd or us and we can put you in touch. But Todd, it's withmoku.com, right?
Withmoku.com. And in Eliza's case, it is eliza.withmoku.com. And so
Hmm.
we, the way that we really try to work with agency partners is not just on the Eliza front, though. As I mentioned before, it's the people, the processes, and the tools. What we offer for agencies is much, much more than just the Eliza partnership. While we totally value the fact that we want to help you save sales and save customer service issues from happening, we
Mm-hmm.
really do offer a complete range of everything from video editing services to any back-end support on HighLevel. We are really, really good at
Mm-hmm.
HighLevel. And so
Nice.
when you as an agency are trying to build out a new snapshot, or you're trying to build out something new for your clients, buy a block of hours from us. We literally charge by blocks of hours, and you get access to an entire team instead of just one person who's supposed to have all the answers for you. And so we operate at a very different level than most VA companies out there, in that when you buy blocks of hours or you buy a regular service with us, you get a dedicated agent and you get a whole team backing up that one dedicated agent. So you don't need to get to know 10 people, but you get to know one person who has access to 10 people who will help you with whatever you're in need of that day.
That's awesome. So I could come to you with a drawing of like, hey, here's what I want to build. This is what I want to happen.
Right.
And your team can take it, interpret it, and actually build it out in HighLevel for you. Sweet.
Build it out in your HighLevel agency, not ours. And you don't have to worry about us even contacting the clients or doing it. Like, I know that's a concern for people, having another HighLevel agency dealing with your HighLevel location clients. We are totally there to support you, because the more we can support you and the better your business runs, the more you're going to need us. And so we just want to take off that burden of you feeling like I need to hire a video editor for the 1 or 2 video edits we do a month. No, we do hundreds a month. You know what I mean? And so that's where we really want to provide that extra value, is you don't have to have the best people on staff, because we do. And we then offer those services to you on an as need basis, not on a, oh crap, I need to boost my overhead now. So
yeah, anybody who's tried to hire a VA quickly realizes, well, shoot, I really don't have full-time need for this. No. I really just need it like once or twice a week or a month or something. So that's cool. Yeah, it makes total sense. All right, awesome, Todd. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. The URL is withmoku.com. We'll put it down below, but it's MOKU. Thanks for coming on to chat about it.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you in the next one.